व्हाट्सएप नहीं यूज करते तुम लोग? तो अपना ईमेल भेजो, मुझे मैसेज करके, ठीक है? देयर आर नंबर ऑफ आर्टिकल्स which we would be sharing, like I have shared a recent article on the evolution of PubAd. Okay, so I can get you a hard copy, but collecting all those would be more tedious. So if you have a digital copy stored, then you can have it permanently with you. Okay. So if you're not added on the group, at least you can send me the email. I'll get it mailed to you from the office itself. ठीक है? इतना मुश्किल क्यों कर रहे हो? आज के ज़माने में व्हाट्सएप नहीं, बताओ? मेरे नाना जी व्हाट्सएप यूज़ कर रहे हैं. Use it for utility. Don't misuse it. Fine. Let us proceed with So yesterday we had discussed certain principles of Gulick's. What were those? Division of work is the basis of organization. Why division of work is the basis? क्यों है भाई? Why it is the basis of organization? Why will you create the organization? Certain goals. If you can do everything individually, then why will you create the organization? Man is a selfish being. Why will he like to share anything with anybody? Okay, that means what? The common purpose can only be served by multiple people. Okay, it cannot be served by a single individual. So the basis or the very foundation of the organization is what? The need for others, okay, to fulfill some goals. Okay, not every goal may be common goal. People who initiate an organization, they may have common goals, but people who are being employed in the organization, they may not have the same goal as of the organization, but their individual goals are aligned with the organization. So he's saying division of work because you cannot have a structure of organization unless you define the work itself. Right. Second principle, departmentation. Okay. So departmentation, why departmentation is necessary? But to understand that how the work will be divided, let's say we need certain basis. Okay. So he's saying if it is basis centric, then it will be easy for me to arrange those tasks. Okay. And you see any organization, whether it is government, okay, or for that matter even private organization, okay, there are functional departments. Those functional departments may be based on the false conception of planning, organizing or POC, whatever he talks about. So every organization will have certain inevitable functional departments. Okay. But according to the task or according to the goal, the number of departments may be added. But what he is trying to say, that in every organization, one or the other of the following we will find as dominant basis of organizing. Okay, maybe individually or maybe collectively, all of them. So in every organization, will you find all the types of bases? No. So all the bases would be present, but some may be more dominant than the others. Okay, fine. Then the third principle, coordination through hierarchy. That is a simple principle. Then deliberate coordination. What is that? Why do you need deliberate coordination? Are you willing to contribute to this class? No. Achha. No. But your willingness is only for your individual benefit. The class is a group. Okay, so unless everyone contributes, there cannot be benefit of the class. Okay. So when we are saying coordination, or deliberate coordination, okay, it is obvious that everybody will be performing his formal role. But that formal role, okay, may not be actually with respect to the goals of the organization. So he is accepting that, okay, there might be various deviations in the prescribed roles of the people. Okay, and also people may not be capable. Even if they are part of the organization, for doing certain tasks they may not be capable, so they may not be willing to cooperate. Okay, not out of non-motivation, but out of non-capability or non-skill. Okay, so he's saying there we need to deliberately coordinate. How to deliberately coordinate? Incentives, training, education, and staff. Okay, what will staff do? What is a staff? That is why I don't like Prasad and Prasad. He has not written so many things. What will a staff do? Who is a staff? Okay. Okay, the principle of deliberate coordination. Is it visible in the government? How do we do deliberate coordinations? Do you know about the working of the government administration? Little bit. Now, there are so many other channels. Okay, conferences are organized, seminars are organized, trainings are organized. Okay, various type of participatory modes of information sharing is organized. Why it is done? There is no need, because everybody has been trained and he has been allocated a role. But what happens if a new problem comes up? Okay, something very novel, not seen before. Okay, and your routine knowledge will not help you achieve it. Then there will be a kind of inertia within the people to act. Okay, but the organization wants to achieve it. So what it will do? It will try to first use the hierarchical procedures. Hierarchical procedures are ineffective beyond a particular point of time. Okay, because people may revolt, people may react. Okay, at least that much of liberty people have. They may leave the organization and go. Okay. So they try to find out some alternative channels. Okay, staff helps there. Why staff will help? Staff will make you conscious of the new task. An orientation, something known as a preconditioning will be done, so that you are already motivated even prior to the involvement in the task. Okay, at least to have an idea of what you are going to do. Staff also provides certain types of information which may not be accessible by the hierarchical levels. Okay. Let's say, for example, the street level bureaucrat. Now he or the government wants to implement a new program. Okay. Now when the street level bureaucrat or the middle level visit a particular place, so the people already perceive them as what? As threats to their liberty. Okay, that is a common public perception, that if the government official comes, okay, he is encroaching upon our liberty. Okay, or he will be corrupt or whatever. There is always a power difference, and because of that there is a distrust. Okay. So in that case, what staff can do? The staff can do the information gathering much better than the hierarchical levels. So people who are directly in the line of command, okay, they may not create that kind of public acceptance towards certain things as the staff agencies can do. Are you understanding this? Because staff will have informal elements, experts, okay, people who are not directly involved in the authority system, so their way of dealing with the people will be different. बहुत सारे एग्जाम्पल है. एनजीओ को एसोसिएट करो. गवर्नमेंट भी एनजीओ को एसोसिएट करती है. फूड फॉर वर्क प्रोग्राम. Okay, one of the first programs launched in 1980s. Okay, it was the first program made by the Planning Commission with the help of more than 150 NGOs. तो पहले NGOs ने, all the NGOs worked together. They gathered huge information. They oriented people towards this kind of program. Okay, and then the government launched the program. Okay. Knowledge commissions, information gathering, like National Knowledge Commission is there, or it was there. Okay, what it was doing? If you have Ministry of HRD, why do you need a National Knowledge Commission? From what sources? Have you heard of National Knowledge Commission? नहीं सुना है उसका काम क्या होगा? What would be the task? Can you imagine? And there is a organization known as CAB, Central Advisory Board on Education. CAB 1, CAB 2 was formed, which brought the RTE reforms, changes in the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. Professor Yashpal was the head, who was the Vice Chancellor of JNU also. So what will CAB do? What will NCRT do? What will AICTE will do? What will Indian Council of Medical Research will do? What will they do? They are regulatory bodies. National Knowledge Commission is a think tank. There is a big difference between being a regulatory body. Regulatory bodies don't do research. They don't do comparative study. So National Knowledge Commission is like a staff agency. But the MHRD or all these institutions, they are going to benefit equally from the National Knowledge Commission. Now individually they cannot perform that task. Even if they employ people, they cannot perform that task. Why? Because they do not have that kind of knowledge resource or even the human resource. So staff agencies have the flexibility. That is why they can coordinate. But he is mostly talking about the internal coordination within the organization. We are only implying that when we view staff in the government, then probably the staff's role is much more broader than what he is conceiving within the organization. Is it clear now? Then the next principle is coordination through committees. Let us, don't write it first. So Gulick, he is emphasizing on staff. We will deal with the staff. One line just to add what you have written yesterday. You wrote certain questions. Just below those questions you write, add one more line. Staff is like a buffer. Staff is like a buffer between the direct authorities and the employees. Staff can view the organization from all the dimensions. Whereas management's approach is unidirectional and vertical. So imagine if the manager is perceiving unidirectional and vertical. So if the manager is perceiving the problem in the organization, he will be viewing it only from the top, whereas staff has the flexibility to rotate about the axis of the organization. It can go anywhere, it can find out, it can gather information in various modes. Are you getting this point? That is why he is saying the staff will be a very fruitful agency in deliberate coordination. Now let us come to the next principle. Coordination through committees. Coordination through committees. What is a committee? Committee is a plural body. Now, implying from what the logic they are using to understand the organization, obviously they cannot talk about the committee having the authority. They are not of that view that in the hierarchy there will be the highest level will be in the form of a committee. It will not be. So how this committee will emerge, and what is the meaning of a committee? Committee consists of people, group of people. Okay, what kind of people? Who are part of the hierarchy or who are not part of the hierarchy? Okay, see Gulick, because he was also influenced by the industrial organization. Okay, now he's saying that imagine a situation where an engineer who is working in a field is getting the order from a manager as well as the chief engineer. Okay. Then what will happen? The technical information, technical orders will come from the chief engineer, but the general administrative orders will come from the manager. So this will create a conflict. Okay. Likewise, imagine number of departments. Okay, having one administrative head and one technical head. Okay, even though according to them, okay, obviously there will be some GM or senior manager who will also be controlling him. Okay, but in terms of the hierarchical status, probably he is higher in the technical hierarchy than him. But general day-to-day administrative orders are given by him. Okay, whereas technical orders, now there may be or there might be conflict between the execution of this order and this order. Are you understanding this? So he is saying that in such a situation what is to be done? Okay, we can form a committee. The committee will comprise of the members from various functional departments of the organization, and these committees will not be permanent. Okay. That means when those members are working as a committee, they are not working as hierarchical positions. Okay, they are working in collaboration. Okay. That means there will not be a permanently constituted committee which will work in the organization. He is saying the committees can be formed in case there is conflict of or difference of opinion, or there is a contradiction between two given orders. Okay. Committee system is employed for various other purposes also. In various organizations you have, like in colleges and schools, you might have experienced the disciplinary committees. Okay, committees related to personnel policies. So in these committees, he is saying that you can also engage the experts. Now who these experts would be? Okay, it is not clear. Are they coming from within the organization or they can be employed from outside the organization? Okay. So how different it is from the deliberate coordination and coordination through committee? So what will the procedure followed by committee, which will be different from the deliberate coordination? Okay, committee is basically an advisory body only. Okay, committee is not the decision making body. In today's government structure also you will find number of committees which are existent. Cabinet has committees. Okay, so why committee? Committee will further help in division of labor, because he is saying that the chief or the head might have number of functions to perform. Okay. So how he is going to assess the importance of which function or importance of certain function over the other function? Okay. So he might not be engaged in resolving some smaller disputes. So what kind of he is saying? All these problems which the head of the department feels can be given to certain committees, so he can transfer them to the committees. The committees will advise. Okay, government structure also has the committees. Why committee is formed when it does not take a decision? Why should there be committee when they don't have authority? Okay. Any other benefit of committee? one head is better than two heads? Is it? Is it or not? Okay, committees are formed, see. Okay, you write few things, it's okay. Right. Gulick recognized the importance of, लिखो भैया, time lag मत करो. Gulick identified the importance of committees in improving the coordination within the organization. This idea is in no way contradiction to the principle of hierarchy. Is in no way contradiction to the principle of hierarchy. Or unity of command. Unity of command. The committee would be an advisory body consisting of departmental members and also the experts. The benefit of committee is manifold. Number one, as it is a plural body, as it is a plural body, it can provide better understanding to the problems and issues of the organization. Second, increases the knowledge base and acts as the repository of knowledge. As and when required by Chief Executive. Third, eases the burden of Chief Executive through the benefit of division of labor. Fourth, committees provide a mechanism for unbiased decision making. Okay, generally committees are basically bipartisan committees or multi-partisan committees. या नीचे लिखो नहीं करता है, हेल्प तो करता है. It will help you or not in unbiased decision making. So it is a mechanism for unbiased decision making. Chief executive will get the advice, he can act. Okay, most of the committees are multi-partisan or bipartisan. What does this mean? It has representation from various quarters. Okay, and even the committee system can be used to resolve the conflict between the workers and the management. So if the committee is formed in such a way, okay, where the representation of the owners, the management, workers and specialists, let us say it is made, then it is highly unlikely that the decision would be biased. Impossible. Okay. Why? Not because they might be influenced by the owners or the management, because they have their own interests. Okay. And obviously they are not going to act against their own interest. Okay. This provision has been used in the personal management or bipartisan if there are two groups. Okay, like if you see the committees made in the Parliament of India. Okay, they are multi-partisan committees. Members from various political parties. Okay, or at least members from the opposition party. Okay, that is a bipartisan committee. This mechanism is used or it was implemented in Britain, US and number of other countries. Okay, in resolving the disputes between the owners or management and the employees. Okay, between the employees and the government. Okay, this mechanism is formation of committees or conflict resolution through committees. Okay, this mechanism is known as Whitleyism. Okay, Whitley councils were formed. Okay, in UK. Okay, they were like committees, okay, created for the resolution of dispute between the employees and the government, or management and the employees. Okay. So you can see the impact. That is what he is visualizing. Okay, because till that time there was no standardized procedure of conflict resolution or increasing information base of the organization through the committees. Committees were generally headed by the CEOs. Okay, and they were the committees of the subordinates and the CEOs. So you can imagine who is the decision maker. It is only the CEO. Okay, but he imagines a mode of coordination through a multi-partisan or a bipartisan committee. Such kind of committees exist today also in India. Okay, wherever you have, okay, let us say this is position in UK, even in US there are various commissions which are formed. Okay. In India also, if there is a conflict between the government and the employees, okay, especially the class 3 and class 4, okay, central government level, if there is a conflict between class 3, class 4 and the government, then the government is represented generally by the class 1 officers. Okay, and there is a mechanism under the Ministry of Labour known as the JCM, Joint Consultative Machinery. So the JCM is a direct fallout of this kind of principle. Okay. So we are linking see paper 2 also here now, slowly and slowly. So this, what principle he talks about, it has a practical manifestation in the organization at various levels. Okay, because nature of conflict may change between the workers and the middle level or supervisory level, workers and the management, or workers and the higher level of the organization. Within the government also the nature of conflict may be different. Okay. So this principle is not just a theoretical principle, it is very much useful today also, practically relevant today and used also today. Have you understood this much? Okay. So Whitleyism or Whitley councils are also a practical manifestation of this principle. Joint consultative machinery in India, which is used for resolving the conflict between them, is also an outcome of this principle. So you can add them as examples so that you can remember later. Okay. Okay. But committees have their own problems, like less practical. Don't say academic, but they are less aware of the administrative facts. Administrative realities, they may be experts, so more like armchair advisors, because they are not facing the actual problem in the field. Anything else? Solution. Consensus is very difficult in a committee. Then third, the committee may be subjected to group think. What is a group think? The majority members may dominate ideologically, attitudinally the minority members. So they may not think or act independently of the majority. Okay. So groupthink is also possible. Then there is bandwagon effect. Simply like groupthink only. Bandwagon effect is what? That if all are agreeing or most of them are agreeing to something, then everybody else is also agreeing to something. Okay. And also because most of the committees, they do not have the direct authority or members of the committee. Okay. So to please the CEO or the head of the organization or the owners, they generally come up with the recommendations which are in favor of the. Okay, so you can write few things. Coordination through committee has obvious benefits as well as disadvantages. The latter may be visible. The latter may be visible in the following aspects. The latter may be visible in the following aspects. Number one, lack of consensus. Okay. It is difficult to arrive at a consensus. The committee may be a victim of groupthink. Minority members may be influenced by the views of majority members. bandwagon effect. Without logical reasoning, all the members may agree to a particular idea. Okay, it may happen because of so many factors. Cultural factors, they share some historical similarity, okay, some territorial similarity, cultural similarity, they might. Okay. So this might be also. Okay. Then what else can be the problem of committee? But we are creating this kind of committee already. What else can be disadvantage? Will it make the process of decision making slow also? I think it might help in better decision making, but the process, what is the benefit of hierarchy? What is the benefit of unity of command, centralization of power? That the decision can be taken faster. Okay, so it will also slow down. As many of these members may not be the part of the direct or directly the part of the organization, will there be a direct control over them? So they are also not subject to hierarchical control. That is also a drawback. They might act the way they want. Okay. So not subject to control. Okay. Okay. Generally, committees are given the power to regulate their own procedures. Okay. There is a term of reference, but how they are going to complete this task, they are given the power to do it. But in the absence of a direct authority over them, because CEO may not be controlling them, okay, or CEO may not have the time to control them, impossible. That is why we have created the committees. Okay. So what happens? They may act against the intention or against the needs of the organization. Fine. So this may be the problems using the committees. Later we will study how committees can be useful, various types of committees which are formed. Okay. But his idea of coordination through committee is quite contemporary in nature. Okay. And it is the way forward for most of the organizations. Most of the organizations today are non-hierarchical in nature. Even though they have a structure of hierarchy, they do not function like hierarchical organizations. Okay, they cannot function. Why? Because the needs are so complicated today. So a single head imagining everything, visualizing everything and having a vision for the organization is not possible today. Have you understood this much? Let us go then. Okay, so the next principle is the principle of decentralization, or unity of command and decentralization, both we can write. How can you define the term decentralization? What are various types of decentralizations? Increasing the power of the lower levels. So it will lead to decreasing power of the higher level? Obvious. But decentralization has various forms and degrees. Okay. Like many definitions, Gulick and Ervik have also given that Okay, let us come. First identify the types. Okay. A type of decentralization is delegation, which is also a principle of Gulick and Ervik. Okay. Okay. Delegation is something like an operational decentralization. Operational decentralization means, now see, there is a head, see. Now, according to the hierarchical principle, the entire power or authority of the organization is centralized. Okay. Now, power is such an entity which is constant according to them. Okay. If I say power is fixed, okay, and it is fixed where? At the head of the organization. Okay, and also the quantity of power is also fixed. Why? Because there are jurisdictional limits. The authority has been given through a procedure, by a law, by any statute, whatever. Okay. So what authority he will exercise, how much authority he will exercise is also predefined. So the quantity of authority is also fixed. You agree with this? The constitutional fixes the authority of various organs. Okay. May not be quantified as 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. But numerically cannot be quantified, but at least there is a quantification in terms of the jurisdiction and the way the authority will be exercised. So if it is quantified, okay, or if power is fixed, okay, or for that matter let us use authority, okay, is fixed, and all the authority is given to him, then how the authority goes to them? It is a fixed quantity, it has been given to him, centralized within the CO, then how can they exercise the authority? That means what? He will, according to the needs of various levels of the organization, what he will do? He will share a part of his authority. Okay. That means finally, he is the one who is capable of exercising the entire authority of the organization. But for day-to-day procedures, for operational problems and issues, he is going to provide you with a temporary kind of authority. Okay, I am not saying temporary in terms of time. Temporary means that he has the power to take it back. Are you understanding this? So this procedure by which the head of the organization or the CEO provides a part or shares a part of his authority, okay, as well as the functional responsibility to be done. Okay, that is the logic of the division of work within the organization. The moment we are dividing the work at various levels, at that very moment we are following the principle of correspondence. That authority must be given to you to perform that task. Okay, so they are performing a part of the task. The entire task is being headed by him. Okay, so what he is doing? He is sharing a part of his authority. It is not permanent, to his subordinates. So let us say he delegates him a part of his authority, okay, and a part of that is delegated by him to him. The authority is flowing from here only, okay, and again a minuscule part of that authority is given to them and other part of authority is given to them. So function to be performed and corresponding authority which you can exercise to perform that function, which will be in collaboration with each other. Authority will not be more than the function you have to perform. Okay, so that is an arrangement which is made in the organization. Okay, and this is known as the delegation. So delegation is what? Okay, even if the chief executive is out of the station, okay, and there is some task to be performed which actually is his task. So what he can do? For some time he can temporarily delegate it to the subordinate and say that, okay, you take the decision on my behalf. But who will be responsible for the consequence? It will be me. I will be responsible to the management or to the people. Okay, you will be responsible to me. Are you understanding? So at every level tasks are assigned, corresponding authority is given, and their responsibility is enforced. Okay. But when we total or when we do the summation of all this authority, okay, ultimately this authority is equivalent to the authority of the CEO. Okay, that is delegation. Delegation is obviously done from top to the bottom. Are you understanding this? Generally delegation is vertical in nature only. Okay. It may be horizontal in nature also at times. Let us say the SDM delegates to the DSP certain things. Okay. Or the ADM finance delegates a part of the function to the ADM executive or ADM administration, obviously with the permission of the district magistrate. So there can be horizontal delegation, but that is actually not delegation of authority. That does not fit into the definition of delegation. But yes, it is also a kind of delegation. Yes, contracting out. Okay. So delegation may have various forms. Okay. Generally the delegation is vertical. And when you are delegating the authority to him, okay, you cannot abdicate your responsibility. So delegation can be done from the immediate superior to the immediate subordinate. Then from him to, we cannot say that he has delegated to him. No. He has delegated to him, and a part of that has been delegated by him to him. So delegation what? It follows the chain of command. Delegation as a mechanism cannot violate the chain of command. It cannot violate the continuity of hierarchy. Impossible. Okay, so the principle of delegation which they are talking about is the sharing of authority from the superior to the subordinate, or between the superior and subordinate, only decided by the superior. Okay, that to what extent the authority is required by you, or if any additional authority is to be conferred, that decision also will be taken by the superior. So you will be responsible for any additional authority given to you, or for that matter any formal authority given to you, to him. Okay. So if any mistake is done, they will be responsible to him. Okay, but he will be the ultimately responsible for the task. Even if district collector delegates the function to the ADM, okay, or additional collector for some time, okay, and he goes on vacation, the ultimate responsibility will be of district collector, not of the ADM. But ADM will be responsible to district collector. So delegation as a mechanism provides flexibility of operation in the organization. It also helps in sharing a part of authority and responsibility. Okay, in times of crisis, in times of emergencies. Okay, in case of absence of the top or head of the organization, the decision or the organization's running will not be stopped, or the functioning of the organization does not get stopped because of the delegation. Okay. So delegation also not only shares the authority but also responsibility. Okay, functional responsibility. Certain tasks may not be performed at the highest level. So hierarchy creates an inbuilt mechanism for delegation. Okay. So generally it is from top to bottom, okay, vertical. But it can have various other forms like horizontal. Okay. Between a particular level in one department with the same level at the another department. Okay, or number of managers within the same department sharing a part of responsibility or authority. If somebody is not there, he is sharing his burden with somebody else. That can also be, because it is temporary in nature, that can also be horizontal delegation. Okay. Delegation can also be upward, okay, which is very unique. Okay, it is not generally used in the organization, but at times, okay, there can be an upward delegation. Where can you see it? Right, correct. Imposition of emergencies. Okay, in Article 252, if an emergency is there, then the states or the governor on behalf of the or two or more states, can ask the center to legislate. Okay. There are certain laws, okay, which are or under Article 201, if you have read 200, 201, the governor has the power to reserve certain bills for the president. That is like an upward delegation, that this is my task, but I am giving it to you. Okay. Also the manner of election of Pope is an upward delegation. Okay. You can say, but that power belongs to, you can say, advice can be given by the states. Okay. So all India services, or there are so many other tasks which can only be performed by the central legislature only when number of states agree to that. Okay, so that can also be possible, but at the administrative level it is not visible. Within the bureaucracy it is not visible. Okay, upward delegation not possible there. Okay, but yes, there are instances of upward delegation, but this is very restricted in nature. In fact, the formal concept of delegation does not come with this mode. Okay. So delegation becomes an essential administrative device, a management device for performing the task with efficiency within the organization. Okay, right. Okay. Delegation is an obvious outcome of the principle of hierarchy. Is an obvious outcome of the principle of hierarchy. Under the hierarchy, the entire authority is concentrated. The entire authority is concentrated within the head of the department or organization. The head of the department or organization. But as he cannot perform all the tasks, there is a need for functional distribution of the authority. Traditional models of organization believe in constant sum concept of power. Believe in constant sum concept of power. That is power is a fixed entity and if it is shared, its intensity would be diluted. If it is shared, its intensity would be diluted. So, a mechanism of formal delegation. So, a mechanism of formal delegation which is vertical in nature, that is from top to bottom. is created. Okay. Through this mechanism, functions are assigned at different levels. And the chief executive functions are assigned at different levels, and the chief executive shares a part of the authority required to perform those functions. With his immediate subordinate. And the process follows similarly at all the levels. At all the levels. Delegation is the sharing of authority between superior and subordinate. It must follow the proper chain of command. It must follow the proper chain of command. That is, the superior can delegate only to the immediate subordinate. Why should it be there that the superior will delegate to the immediate subordinate? If he delegates it to him, okay, let us say he is bypassing these two levels and delegating it to him. So what happens? First, it violates the principle of hierarchy. Secondly, it violates the chain of command. Then thirdly, what happens? He is undermining the authority of these two people. Okay, so what he is doing technically, he is making him more powerful, okay, with respect to them. So this will create number of conflicts within the organization. Okay. So you are undermining the formally designated positions, okay, who are the legitimate holders of the authority which you are transferring to some illegitimate holder. So it is totally against the principle of structure of organization. Fine. So that cannot be done. Okay. It may lead to various kinds of disciplinary or indisciplines within the organization. Okay. It may create a precedence for revolts, conflicts, and so many things. And these people never wanted that. Right. So they will not in any case violate this chain of command. Okay. Okay. Right. Delegation involves the transfer of authority but it is not permanent. It is not permanent. As the chief executive has the power to withdraw. To withdraw the delegated authority. Authority is, next line, authority is delegated, not the responsibility. Okay, the holder of a particular position who has a legitimate responsibility to perform, holder of a particular position who has the legitimate responsibility to perform a particular function if in his absence he delegates the authority to perform that function to his subordinate, even then the ultimate responsibility of the consequences or accountability, both you can write, responsibility of the consequences or accountability remains with the superior. So you can delegate the authority, but you cannot delegate the responsibility. Okay. So hierarchy, once it is created, that is like a permanent delegated structure. Okay. But why we are using the word delegation? Because ultimately the authority remains with him only. Okay, delegation may be horizontal as well as upward also. Horizontal delegation is generally done between peers having the same formal position within the organization. Within the organization, also known as sideways delegation. Okay, so don't confuse, gangplank is not a delegation. Gangplank is only coordination. Okay. Delegation would be one, let's say the manager production, okay, for time being he is not there or he is absent or he is ill, whatever, delegates his power to the manager marketing, manager technical, manager somebody, Okay. Let us say when president is not there, then he delegates the function, or the constitution provides for the vice president to, what kind of delegation is that? ये तो normal delegation है, downward. Upward delegation कब होगा? If the secretary tells the minister, I am going out, you manage the secretariat for some time. It's not possible. Okay, but anybody, if the prime minister takes up the responsibility of the deputy prime minister till the time he is not there, okay, so that may called as something like a upward delegation. Horizontal delegation क्या होगा? Let's say for example, the cabinet ministers, okay, sharing responsibility amongst themselves. That will be a sideways. SDM of one subdivision, SDM of another subdivision. Okay. Inspector of one thana with the inspector of the other thana. Okay, sometimes one is not there, so a charge is given to one inspector of both the thanas. Okay. That is like peer-to-peer sharing of authority. Okay, again this will be also temporary in nature, it cannot be permanent. Fine. This is generally not visible, okay, except in certain circumstances. Okay, right. Okay. Can the delegation be done like this? Can it be done this way? Why? But this may be possible. This is possible. Okay. This may be possible. This is possible. If there are, let's say, imagine there are different departments. Okay, now he wants to delegate, the manager of production wants to delegate a task to the manager or assistant manager of technical or marketing. Can it be done? No, it cannot be done formally. How is it possible? Okay, he has to follow the chain of command. So, he is not his immediate subordinate, though he is a subordinate. Okay. So he will have to go to him, or they both will have to go to him. Okay. Then he will authorize, okay, and then he will say that, okay, yes, you are authorizing me because he has authorized you. So he can authorize him, and then, okay, but they will not violate this chain. Impossible. Because it will not be done, it will be fundamentally contradictory to the idea of hierarchy itself. Okay, it is not possible. In the worst circumstances, it may be. Okay. Let us say, many times people from different departments are temporarily employed in another department, performing the task of both the departments. That time, the manager production may give orders to the assistant manager technical, if he is performing the task of both the departments together. Are you getting? But unless it is authorized by the superior, it is not possible. He cannot take the decision on his behalf. Otherwise, what will happen? SDM will give day-to-day orders to the police every day. Inspector will directly report to the SDM, and why to the DSP then? Nature of function to same है ना? ठीक है? But hierarchy will be violated. Fine. तो ये नहीं हो सकता. Okay. So sideways does not mean this way. Okay, diagonal delegation, something like a diagonal delegation is not possible. Okay. Upward delegation, you can write. Okay, upward delegation, even though is a violation of upward delegation, even though is a violation of the formal definition of delegation. Is visible in certain circumstances. For example, in the political systems which have direct democratic devices, like direct democratic devices like initiative petition. What is initiative petition? People make the law or initiate the law and then delegate the power of lawmaking to the legislature. Okay, initiative petition, that is the power of citizens to initiate legislations. The citizens, the citizens may frame a basic legislative proposal and delegate the power of lawmaking to the legislature or elected representatives. Legislature or elected representatives. So see, in political system it is visible, but in administrative system, okay, or a bureaucracy, it is not visible. Okay. It is impossible. So peon cannot tell the SDM that, okay, meanwhile I am not there, you can just perform my task, okay, attend to the guests. Impossible. Okay, so this kind of, even the entire democratic system is based on the upward delegation. Okay. So in political system it is possible, but in administration, based on the hierarchical system, it is not possible. Okay, election of pope and all, so that can be given as example. So delegation has various benefits. Okay, it is inbuilt in the hierarchy. So it is a form of decentralization where the power is being decentralized or shared between the superior and subordinate within the department. But it is not actual decentralization. Why? Delegation once done can be revoked any time. Okay. But there is another degree of decentralization, okay, which is probably higher than this. Okay. Deconcentration. Okay, deconcentration. Okay, it is done for both the purposes. It is done for operational benefits as well as territorial decentralization. Okay. So let us say there is a headquarter of a particular organization or a department. Now this headquarter cannot perform all the tasks. Even if there is a structure of headquarter, just like a hierarchical structure, and there is a delegation process or there is a formal delegation within the headquarter. Okay, CEO, Vice President, something, or Secretary, Joint Secretary and all. So they may form a hierarchy and the delegation has been done. Okay. But even though, because headquarter has numerous functions to perform, it cannot do so. Okay. All the outside operations of the headquarter has to be performed by some other organization, or at least the subunits of this organization. Okay. So they may make the decisions, but they may not implement the decisions. For this, what is needed? The headquarter will decentralize itself or delegate the part of the power to the regional units or the local. So the regional offices are created. Headquarter may also have an attached office. In the city or in the place where there is a headquarter. Okay. In the same city there may be an attached office. Attached office is what? Something like a subsidiary to the headquarter, providing certain services to the headquarter. Okay. So attached office is not the regional office. A regional office is created as an independent autonomous entity, enjoying little amount of discretion because the authority has been decentralized. So part of the headquarters authority is given to them, but here this authority is not shared. Attached offices are just performing some subsidiary services to the headquarters. Okay, even though they may have certain tasks, okay, but they are not enjoying the power in the same sense as they are. Okay. So imagine that in the same city in which your parents live, you have taken a separate room and you say, I want to prepare alone. And now you have taken a room in New Delhi, okay, very much far from your location or native place. Okay. So you are preparing there also and you are preparing there also. You are enjoying autonomy there also, but here also. Where is the autonomy more? Here. It is the same thing. So the attached offices are generally located within the vicinity of the headquarter itself. Okay, so they are providing certain services to the headquarter, or certain tasks of the headquarter are performed by the attached offices, but they are not acting as independent offices. Are you understanding this or not? Fine. So we may have a headquarter, an attached office, and the regional units of the headquarter or this main department. Okay. Now see, territorially it is located. So there is a territorial decentralization also, and operational because they cannot perform all the tasks. Imagine a state government, okay, or the government of Delhi, government of UP, any state government. Now the state government has a headquarter. Let us say, for example, UP, or any state you can take, Tamil Nadu, whatever. Okay. So let us say headquarter or the seat of the power of the state government is Lucknow or Madras or Chennai, whatever. Okay, that is the seat of the power of the government. Okay. Now this government or this state is divided into territories. These territories are districts. Okay, so how will the headquarter be present in the district? Impossible. Only through its own or the replica it will be creating of its own. Okay. So at the district level, there will be a replica created of the headquarter, okay, which we can call as the district administration. Okay, this district administration will be headed by, let us say, a district magistrate, who will be getting the orders, deriving the authority, day-to-day operations. Obviously some autonomy or liberty is given to him, but the ultimate decisions or the directives he has to accept coming from the headquarter. So this acts like headquarter, this acts like regional arms. Okay, local units, block development officer, SDO, Tehsildar, Kanungo, whatever we'll talk about. So it can be further divided, but there will be the first point of decentralization, territorial decentralization, that is the district. Are you understanding this? So if there is a basic organization, okay, heading the entire operation, if it has to do or perform tasks at the local or the territorial level, it will have to replicate itself in the form of an organization, okay, which will be a organization headed or under the same headquarter only. It will not be an independent office, but it will be autonomous to an extent. Not enjoying absolute autonomy, but only operational autonomy. So ultimately district collector is going to take the orders from the secretary or the chief minister or the minister, but okay, for performing those tasks, he will be given a part of authority. So it is what? The nature of the delegation or the nature of the decentralization is what? Is basically administrative and functional. Administrative and functional I am saying because it is given just to perform certain tasks or to have or create a permanent seat of power. Okay, the power is derived from the state government. So collector does not have his own power. He is also deriving the power from the state government or from the government or from the headquarter. Now imagine that we are creating a different level of authority system here. This level of authority system, if it is independent of this, okay, like delegation which has been done permanently. Okay. This is also not temporary. Why? Because district collector's office will always be there. Okay. But here the district collector is subject to the central authority. Okay. But imagine in that way the district collector has been given by law certain powers, and these powers are independent, or the exercise of this power is independent of the state government. Then what will happen? Then it is not for a purpose. It is not just for administrative convenience. Okay, that's why we are using the word deconcentration. All the power resides in the headquarter, but what, it will be overburdened with the functions. So it deconcentrates itself. Okay. But the absolute power still remains with the headquarter. But if this happens, that he becomes relatively autonomous with respect to them, or it enjoys an absolute autonomy with respect to them, then that is known as complete decentralization. Okay, that is not possible in the administrative organizations. Okay, none of the units you will create, you will give it complete or absolute autonomy. It can only be possible in political institutions. So there is another degree of decentralization known as the devolution. Okay. Devolution is, you don't write first, you first will write this and then you write this, but you understand it. Devolution is the actual decentralization, a kind of complete decentralization. Okay, it is like an ideal decentralization. So devolution takes place when you give autonomy with respect to operations, that is operational, administrative, day-to-day decision making, okay, expenditure, okay, decisions related to accounting and so many other things. If you are giving them day-to-day freedom, then also, then it will be administrative, okay, having control over their subordinates, transferring them, suspending them and so on, okay. So to perform the task, to take certain decisions, and at the same time budgetary, legislative, making laws, governing their own procedures, creating new procedures, okay, accepting what they want, discarding what they don't want. So if the decentralization is done in this form, that it creates a completely autonomous unit, okay, it has its own independent power and it does not derive the power technically from anybody, then it is known as the devolution, okay. So here the autonomy is political as well as administrative as well as financial. It can make laws, it can take decisions, it can control day-to-day operations, it can also create budgets, it can also gather the resources, revenues, and then decide the way it wants to spend. Okay, this is visible only in something we call as political decentralization. So devolution as a process of decentralization, you can say, is a process of complete decentralization. It is the end of decentralization. But none of the institutions enjoy a complete autonomy. It is impossible. But ideally, it is the actual decentralization which we call as devolution. Panchayati Raj institutions in India, okay, they are the examples of political decentralization, okay, having to an extent, okay, autonomy with respect to all these spheres. Okay. Municipal corporations, municipalities, okay, or local bodies, urban local bodies, rural local bodies, they are enjoying this autonomy. But other two forms, the delegation and the deconcentration, both are administrative in nature. They are not political. That means what? They do not have the power or the absolute authority to govern themselves. Have you understood this? So if you are using the word decentralization, it can be in the various forms, the delegation, devolution, or deconcentration and devolution. Okay, now you write. What Gulick is talking about is one, the delegation, and the other, the deconcentration. Only two things. He is nowhere talking about the devolution. Okay, he is only talking about delegation and deconcentration. Okay, right. The second one. Deconcentration. Okay, deconcentration, it is done for operational and administrative convenience. Operational and administrative convenience. It also includes the aspect of territorial decentralization. The headquarter may enjoy absolute authority with respect to its functions. The headquarter may enjoy absolute authority with respect to its functions. functions. But to manage a vast territory, it is impossible for the headquarter to do so, being located at a central place. There is a need for regional and local units to be created. Even though these units may be only the administrative arms of the headquarters, that is, they may not enjoy absolute autonomy. But for performing day-to-day functions, discretionary authority is available. For example, the basic unit of governance in India is a district. The basic unit of governance in India is a district. District is a territorial division of states. District is a territorial division of the state. The entire state's power resides in the state secretariat or the state government. Districts are the visible manifestations of the government's power. In the respective territories. Represented by the district collector. Okay, that means the district administration is a regional arm of the state government. Deconcentration is usually done for decongesting the headquarter. Deconcentration is usually done for decongesting the headquarter and promoting administrative efficiency in governance. The power still remains with the headquarter. Okay, very long back there was a Britisher who said that India can be governed from the hills, but it has to be administered in the plains. Okay, that means what? You can give the orders from there, but you cannot implement it. Okay. You can manage, but you cannot administer. So authority may reside somewhere, but the actual exercise of authority will be on the ground. So to make that authority manifest in the eyes of the people, you will have to create your own replicas or the units, that is the deconcentration. So deconcentration is done by the private organizations, by the public organizations. Most of the private organizations have their headquarters somewhere. Okay, like MNCs having headquarters in a particular country, but they have their regional offices in various countries, and that also again divided into local units or local offices. Okay. But eventually out of this, whatever procedure or structure they have developed, the ultimate authority lies with the headquarters. So deconcentration does or in no way conveys that authority which is being exercised by the regional and local units is the absolute authority. Okay, even though it seems, because their territorial location is far from the headquarters. Okay. Attached offices, they are only enjoying the operational autonomy, and even not that. Okay. CBI is acting like an attached office to the Ministry of Home. Okay. Sometimes under the PMO. Okay. But it is like an attached office. CVC attached office not having an independent structure, even though it is having an independent position. But direct control or administrative control is of the ministry. Okay. The same is not true about the AICTE. Okay, because they have some decision making powers. Okay, they have an elaborate administrative structure, NCRT. Even though they can be also considered as attached office of MHRD, it is not true. Okay, they are not the attached office. Why? Because they are made by a statute. They are statutory organizations. Okay. But NBT, what about NBT? National Book Trust. It has some independent functions. DGFT, Director General Foreign Trade, Director General Civil Aviation. They have their functions but not independent offices. Okay, they will be working under the Ministry of Civil Aviation, okay, as an attached office. Okay. When you study district administration, there are two models of the district administration, okay, or the structure of district administration: district magistrate and sub SDM. Okay, because SDM or subdivision is also like a territorial division of the district. So there will be one territorial officer known as SDO. Okay, so he may be residing in some other location from the headquarters, that is a district. Okay. In every district there is a district headquarters. Generally the the most urban area of that district is considered as a district headquarters. So in one model, the SDMs are having a separate office in a separate location. In another model, the SDMs are having the office within the collectorate itself. Okay. That means they are managing their territories, respective territories, but the office, okay, that means where the seat of power or their position is within the collectorate itself. So imagine in an office where your head is sitting already. So the kind of power you need to exercise, you cannot do so. But if you have an independent territorial office or a different office at a different territorial location, the exercise of the same amount of power, okay, becomes more stronger, more impactful. Okay, so there are two models known as one attached office model, one separate office model. Okay, same is the logic here also. If the attached office is located somewhere else, okay, territorially, also having some operational autonomy, then whatever power it has been given to the office, it may exercise it more visibly. Here, not possible, because you have to follow the hierarchy. So the moment you take a decision, you have to send it to the head, because head is sitting on your head. There you will follow a procedure, let the communication go, let the communication come, till that time we are enjoying. But yes, these models have their own benefit. Okay. But deconcentration, again, does not fit into the actual definition of decentralization or complete decentralization. It is a type of decentralization but not complete decentralization. Like the next, devolution. When the power or authority is decentralized, when the power or authority is decentralized, in such a manner that the emerging unit, that is to whom the power has been decentralized, the emerging unit enjoys complete operational, administrative, financial, and even legislative powers. Operational, administrative, financial, and even legislative powers. That means it includes all three: territorial, administrative, and political. Territorial, administrative, and political. It is territorial, administrative, and political. It is the ideal decentralization, known as devolution. Devolution comes with a process of freedom and a sense of freedom and a sense of liberty as far as the exercise of authority is concerned. the devolved entities do not depend or derive their authority from some other superior entity. From some other superior entity. The best example of devolution is the formation of Panchayati Raj institutions in India. Institutions in India. They derive their power from the Constitution. Have separate constitutional provisions for themselves. And derive their authority through a public mandate. And derive their authority through a public mandate. That means they are not dependent on the Chief Minister or the Chief Secretary or the Prime Minister or for that matter Cabinet Secretary or Council of Ministers for the power they exercise. Okay, they are deriving directly that power from that source from where these two entities are also deriving their own power. Okay. But even then, PRIs are also in the complete sense not having the devolved powers or powers devolved on them, because a part of the functions are controlled by the state government. But if we create a district government, just like we have a state government. So if we create a district government and we have something like a chief minister of a district, okay, or district chief minister, something like that, then that day we can say, okay, complete devolution of power has taken place. Okay, so devolution does not come with conditions. Whereas deconcentration and delegation, they come with delegation obviously with more conditions and deconcentration with relatively less conditions, devolution with no conditions. So if we are talking about decentralization, then in the real sense it must be, the devolution. Okay. But here, Gulick and Ervig, they are talking about decentralization, okay, with respect to territorial, that is the deconcentration, or with respect to the delegation of power from the superior to the subordinate. Are you understanding this? Okay, now you write. So decentralization, principle of Gulick. The large or complex organizations, have to decentralize for increasing the efficiency increasing the efficiency of their operations. Also, at times, for performing particular type of functions, the organizations need to disperse territorially. Kaise? Any example is there? Now you are engaged in coal mining, okay, or leather industry, or tannery, where huge amount of water may be required, okay, or maybe something else, exploration of particular minerals. Okay, so what will you do? You might have a headquarter and administrative unit somewhere, okay, but you will have to decentralize. Why? Because you need to be closer to the resource. So consideration of cost, time, efficiency, resource optimization may force you to decentralize. Okay. Now the new organizations may not be ready for decentralization. Delegation may also be restricted in the new organization, because in the new organization most of the CEOs or the heads of the department are directly responsible for everything. The structure, the line of command has not been developed, it has not been matured enough. Okay. So in new organizations performing some uncertain type of functions, the line or centralization is very high. In the old organizations where the systems, the procedures and the processes have matured and they are well developed, and it is easy for the head to delegate the power to the subordinates, or delegate the headquarter, or for headquarter to decentralize into the regional units. Why? Because everybody has understood the process now. So there will be less chance of failure if decentralization is done. But if the age of the organization is less or it is new, then the decentralization will be against the efficiency. If any new task is assigned, okay, and there is a need for a manager or the CEO to control the task, then he will not delegate, neither he will decentralize. Okay. But it also depends upon the nature of task. Army, okay, military, law and order, in certain situations you want to centralize. Emergencies, wars, what do you want? You want to centralize. Okay. But welfare, social justice, inclusion, okay, serving public interest, serving the minorities, tribals and what, decentralization becomes inevitable. Okay. Also if you see today, most of the industries, most of the organizations in the world are decentralized. Why? Because of the globalization. Okay, demand and supply, cheap labor, cheap technology, cheap access to resources, decentralization is obvious. So what Gulick was visualizing was that decentralization is an inevitable principle, but it must come with riders. It cannot be absolute. Okay. So he is trying to suggest certain principles of decentralization or certain facts of decentralization, that okay, managers, if they are going for decentralization, they must look into these specifics. If it is there, go for decentralization. If not, don't go for decentralization. Okay. Like he has given various models of headquarter and field relationship. Okay. Or headquarter and regional offices. Okay, here he is using two terms, arms and fingers. Fingers mean direct control. Okay. You have a long arm, obviously you can reach the places. Okay. But you have long fingers, then what you can do? You can better control. Okay, you can grab it or not? More. Fine. So he is saying that there can be a model of long arm, long finger. Okay, distance is also, you have territorially decentralized. Okay. And at the same time, the control has also not been reduced. Okay. Or long arm, short fingers. Short arm, long fingers. Short arm, short fingers, obviously useless, like an attached office. Okay. Okay, so he has developed various models. Okay, this is the way that we can give them a territorial liberty, but at the same time the control will not diminish. Are you understanding? It's very simple. Okay. Okay. So these models, by this he is trying to highlight that okay, decentralization can be brought about in these modes. But it also depends upon the nature of work, the age of the organization, the quality of the human resource. Okay. Right. Okay. Decentralization as a principle does not come without riders. Decentralization as a principle does not come about without riders. Old organizations may be willing, old organizations may be willing, capable, and achieve efficiency through decentralization. And achieve efficiency through decentralization as most of the functions have been routinized. Most of the functions have been routinized. It is not possible. Most of the functions have been routinized. Routinized. By first few days or few months or maybe a month, okay, every student or most of the students, they come to the class every day. And खुद पढ़ूंगा, खुद लिखूंगा. And I'll read it and I'll listen to it and I'll write it myself. Okay, after some time, what happens? Okay, I'll take his notes. Okay, if he is not there, then I'll take his notes. Okay, and I'll understand myself. Okay. That is the same logic which is here. When the things are routinized, okay, even the head of the organization, the CEO or the executive, he becomes relaxed, he is casual. Okay, because he knows that okay, now there has been a stabilized organizational culture. People know what to do, what not to do. If they do it, what will happen? If they don't do it, what will happen? Okay, but if the new organizations are there, there is no established organizational culture. Unless the new organization is a replica of some very old organization. Are you understanding this? Okay. Have you seen the movie Newton? No time. You are busy than Modi also. The movie which has been sent to the Oscar, at least you must watch it. Okay. You will find exactly what we are talking here. The new recruits to the organization, okay, follow the rules ardently. Okay, they are very much sacrosanct about the organization. Okay. But people who see the things every day and they know what is exactly the real culture of the organization, okay, they become relaxed. Okay, so there is a very famous saying that Naya Mullah Allah Allah pukarta hai. Okay, the one who is doing something new or for the first time, okay, he becomes too obsessed with that. Okay. So he is saying the same thing. Once the organization's culture is established, okay, people know the things in and out, okay, there is no need for control. So the new organizations will generally perform micromanagement, micro-control, Taylor's principle. Okay, structures, following all the aspects of structure rigidly. Okay, whereas old organization need not go for that. Okay, so decentralization is easy in the old organizations. Okay, right. Okay. The benefit of decentralization can be reaped only when the following factors are evaluated prior to the decentralization. Following factors are evaluated prior to the decentralization. Number one, or A, B, C, D, you can write. Age of the organization. A, age of the organization. B, nature of work. Nature of work. C, the quality of human resource. D, locational advantage, if any. Yeah, locational advantages, just you write. Don't write if any. Locational advantages. E, benefits in terms of performance and resources. So if I want to open a technology company in Bihar, okay, or UP, Eastern UP, okay, I will not do so. Why? Even though most of the engineers are from there only. Most of the top engineering colleges are there only. But I will not do so. Why? There is no locational advantage. Consumers, marketing, okay. It is not part of the supply chain management. Okay. In spite of having the best human resource, people may be willing to work there. Okay. So I'll take out the technology and go somewhere where I feel that okay, I will have certain benefits in terms of upgradation of technology and also my consumer base is there. Okay. So likewise, he's saying that if you are going for decentralization, you can go for this. In fact, the Footloose Industries. Have you heard of Footloose Industries? Okay, the Footloose Industries are, what is the example of a Footloose industry? IT industry, right? Consultancy, services, Footloose Industries. Okay, generally consultancy is a Footloose industry, IT is a Footloose. So location is not important for them. Okay, they can go from place to place. Okay, so maybe these conditions may not impact the modern organizations. Why? Because we are connected through the ICT today. So technology has what? Technology has eliminated all the barriers of geography. Okay, geography is history now. So logically what we can do? Okay, we can say that okay, these are the considerations which are generally used for industrial organizations, employed for industrial organizations, though some of these conditions may be used for the modern organizations or IT based organizations. Okay, but their time and consideration, whatever recommendation he has given is very good. Have you written this? You may not need to use it, you can just use the modes. Okay. Long arm, long finger, long arm, short finger, short arm, long finger, short arm, short finger. Useless. Okay. So he is only saying that okay, there can be ways. Okay, depending upon the nature of work, depending on the location, depending upon the resource, depending upon the quality of human resource you can go for these modes of decentralization. Okay, but nowhere he is suggesting about a complete decentralization, that is devolution. Okay, next click here. Unity of command. So supporter of Fayol, okay, extends the idea of Fayol himself. They are all the supporters of unity of command, which we have dealt in detail. Okay, but here something specific is there. He is saying, or he agrees with the Fayol statement. Fayol gave a statement that under no circumstance an individual should be subjected to duality of command. Okay, so he is saying that it would be detrimental to the organization, it would be exploitative subjecting a person to dual command. Okay, he is agreeing with the same logic. Unity of command restores efficiency, preserves the structure of hierarchy, follows the chain of command, so accountability, supervision, responsibility are already enforced under this logic. Okay, but he is saying that in case there may arise the conflict, like we gave the example that an engineer getting the orders from two heads, okay, technical and administrative. Okay, so he is saying if such a situation happens, then definitely he will be in a state of confusion as to what to do. So here he is saying that a mechanism can be used. Okay. This mechanism he is talking about integrated or integrated multiple command structure or integrated multiple command supervision. Now integrated multiple command supervision means what? He is not saying that you discard the orders of these two. He is simply saying that a mechanism must be created by which they must act like one head. Okay. That means in no way they must give such a command which may conflict with each other. So it will what? It will become virtually like a single head giving the order. Okay, so this he calls as the integrated multiple command structure or multiple command supervision. Okay. Have you understood this or not? इसमें क्या है समझने के लिए? So integrated हो या unified, both you can use. Okay. Gulick, you have written this. Gulick agrees with the Fayol's idea of unity of command, that under no circumstance an individual should be subjected to duality of command. Duality of command is exploitative. Duality of command is exploitative and promotes a state of confusion. Promotes a state of confusion. In cases where, or in situations, you can write, in situations where it is inevitable for a subordinate to receive orders from more than one superior. Orders from more than one superior. Orders from more than one superior. Like an engineer receiving orders from his technical head as well as the administrative head. Receiving orders from the technical head as well as the administrative head. The organization must resort to an integrated or unified multi-command structure. Unified multi-command structure. That is, the technical order must not come in conflict with the administrative order. So they are not violating the unity of command, even when we understand that it is inevitable to receive orders from a single superior. Okay. So there also he is talking about that, okay, as far as possible, these two heads or multiple heads must function like one head. So here may be the use of coordination through committees, coordination through staff. Okay, that may also be possible here, whatever he is talking about. Okay. The other two principles which he talks about are similar, which we have studied. Okay, one is the span of control, and the other I think is the staff and delegation, which we have already done here. Okay, and the one important principle is the staff and line. Okay, in fact they were the ones or the pioneers of including or involving the staff in the administration of public organizations. Okay, especially in the American administration, though it became a kind of convention to be employed at various levels, especially by the policy makers. That means political organizations, they started including the staffs in policy making. 1960s, there was a President Lyndon Johnson. Okay, he introduced a different form of budgeting known as the performance budgeting, suna naam? PPBS. Okay. So in that there is an element of planning in the budget. Okay, because budgeting is what generally input and output. But if we plan or introduce an element of planning in the budget, okay, so what will we do? What change in the budget will be brought about? Let us say I have this revenue, I have the expenditure, I have recorded it, given in the budget. If I introduce a planning in that, what will I do? Target, then target alternatives. Okay. If, then, else. Okay. So I will develop alternatives also within that budgeting or within that overall policy which I am designing. That if this happens, does not happen, if I get this indicator while pursuing this, then I will move towards this one. Okay. So this element of planning, when it was used in the budgetary process, okay, the role of the staff agencies increased manifold because they were doing consistently research. Okay, so 1950s onwards, in public administration also, a new approach emerged known as the public policy or policy science approach. Okay, in this policy science approach, the role of public administrators, okay, because by that time the public administration had lost its disciplinary identity. So all those who were rendered unemployed after studying public administration, including me, though I was not born then, okay. So all those people rendered unemployed after studying public administration, okay, or developing public administration theories, okay, they were involved in the policy making as staff, advisors or experts. Okay, so the role of staff, you can say, or the structure of staff was basically initiated by Gulick. Okay, prior to that, okay, obviously as advisory bodies, ad hoc bodies, they were involved. But permanent staff, okay, or any organization being conceived in terms of staff as also a part of structure. That is the outcome of Gulick. Okay, ये कल पढ़ेंगे अब आज. Today I have an important appointment with doctor. No, not actual doctor. Okay. Okay, write one question. Right, Gulick at best can be considered as as a structuralist without a soul. As a structuralist without a soul. Do you agree with the above statement? Structuralist without a soul. Do you agree with the above statement? Give reasons. Okay, second question. administrative management theory as conceived by Fayol was much more comprehensive when compared to the Gulick's principles of management. Comment. Okay, so I'll give you one clue for the second question. First question, do you agree? Structuralist without a soul. When we'll criticize him, then you can add more points. But yes, they were so, or they wanted to excel in the craft to that extent that each and every aspect of the organization, now you see how they have designed. Okay, that was not visible under Fayol. The Fayol is giving general principles of management, and at the same time he is accepting that these principles are not exhaustive, they are not absolute, they are not ideal. Okay. So it will give the answer to the second question also. Okay. Fayol brings the idea of esprit de corps. Okay. Fayol brings the idea of incentive or remuneration. Okay. Equity. Okay. Collective interest over individual interest, and so many other things. Okay. Which seem to be much more moral and ethical than the Gulick energetics. Okay. How to incentivize people, how to create a collective spirit within the organization, okay, how to manage cohesiveness within the organization, how to upgrade the morale of the people. At least he visualized those things. Okay, but they did not visualize it. Okay. It can also be attributed to the context of the theories of, or the context of both the theorists. The Fayol coming from the French culture or European culture. Okay, much more matured in terms of industrial development. Whereas these two are coming from that phase of industrialization in US, where obviously there were a number of paradoxes visible in the industrial development. Okay. Generally, the American management theories are purely rational in character. Okay. So there are two dominant management theories today. One is the American, one is the Japanese. Okay. Generally, Japanese was created based on the American, but the American or Japanese American who went to Japan after the Second World War. Okay, the kind of management principles which he, you can say, developed, or which he used to develop the industries there or organizations there. Okay, they were more humanist in nature. Okay, even though he was an American-Japanese expert, Edward Demings. Okay, he had more humanistic undertone under his principles. Whereas the same theorists who worked in US, they were much more rationalist. They eliminated any human error. I am talking about the phase 1900 to 1950s. Okay. So you can see even today also the Japanese management, though it is inspired by the industrial or developed countries, okay, it has more humanistic elements than the American management theories. Okay. Later we will study theory Z, which includes the human aspect. Okay. ठीक है? अच्छा है? ठीक है. ठीक है. See you tomorrow then. Okay. Kindly keep preparing for the test next Sunday. Test will be from what you have done. Next Sunday. Okay, but you have to write the content what we have written in the class. Okay, that is one requirement of getting marks. So you read any book, it doesn't matter. Okay, the logic and the content should be of the notes. Okay.